Business partners, dear colleagues, dear guests, good afternoon. It's my great pleasure to welcome you here to the Czech Convention Bureau Inspirational Afternoon, and it's also great to see so many of you here interested in the topics that we are going to discuss today, and also it's great seeing we are meeting face to face after the long and difficult times we have all gone through. For this afternoon, we will have five excellent speakers that are joining us. And of course, I'm going to present you all of them one after each other. So at this moment, I just wanted to say a big thank you that you are joining us and are willing to share your most valuable ideas and thoughts. We really appreciate that. And for the first presentation, just a couple of words about us, about the Czech Convention Bureau, what we do, what we focus on. Basically, there are three areas of activities that we've been working on since many years. First one is the promotion of the Czech Republic as a unique mass destination, of course, on the foreign markets, but also in the Czech Republic. This is done through a series of activities such as workshops, trade shows, roadshows, any kind of shows where we participate, organizing our own events, doing campaigns and offering the options to participate with us at these events. Also, we are actively supporting the candidacy of the Czech Republic to international congresses and conferences. The second pillar that we are focusing on is the leadership and also the development of the MICE product in the Czech regions. There we very actively work with our partners in the regions, in the regional convention bureaus. I'm very happy to see many of you here. Thank you that you decided to come and also contribute maybe to the discussion. Later on, we've been actively working on coordinating all the activities with them, also in helping them on their strategies and on the development of the MICE product as such. And the last pillar of our activities is, of course, the international cooperation, which is very important for us. And I'm very pleased that the Czech Republic is one of the founding members of the strategic alliance of the National Convention Bureaus of Europe. And tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, the meeting of this strategic alliance is taking place here in Prague. And so I simply couldn't resist and invite some of my colleagues to participate, to come one day earlier, to get up very early because of us, and to share some of the ideas with you. So, Neil, Matthias, thank you very much for this. But they won't be here alone because I've got here also two ladies, great professionals representing ICA, the International Congress and Convention Association, as well as IMEX Group. So this time around, it's a great pleasure to have you here. So to the plan today, how does it look like with the schedule? So after a short introduction, we will have three presentations. Each presentation is for 30 minutes, more or less, and then we will have time, of course, for questions and answers. So, of course, we'll be happy to have some discussion as well. So please feel free to ask anything. I'm sure our speakers will be happy to answer any of the questions. Then we will have a short coffee break, the option for networking, and we will finish with two last presentations. As you can see, every topic is really different, so I think each of you will find here something special. Also later on, the director of Czech Tourism, Mr. Jan Herbert, will be joining us. Well, please say hello, because of course it's an event that is important for all of us. So I think that's it for the introduction, and let's start with our first speaker. That will be Tamara Bernstein, the head of ICA Europe and Global Partnerships from the International Congress and Convention Association. Tamara has a background in sales and business development as well as events management. She has been in the meeting industry for over 10 years and has been leading the Europe region of ICA for over 2.5 years. And with a community of 500 members, Tamara supports and leads the largest ICA region, adapting to new formats and ways of working in the industry, as well as actively growing the region and collaborating with ICA Europe members. Tamara also leads the global partnerships and sponsorships opportunities within ICA, supporting all regions and creating new and long-term innovative opportunities. Also, Tamara previously worked for Expo, Tel Aviv, and also she was supporting the Tel Aviv Convention Bureau, so I think she will have a lot to share with us. Tamara, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. So thank you for the lovely introduction, and it's really nice to be with you and see such a full room. And it's really nice to be back in Prague, because the last time I was here was for the ICA Congress, which was my first ICA Congress when I was an ICA member. So it's like full circle for me, so very nice. And before I dive in, I just told Teresa earlier that this year in 2023 in December, the Czech Convention Bureau will have been celebrating 20 years of membership with ICA, so that's definitely congrats. It just shows the dedication. So, as Teresa said, I'm here to talk to you a bit about our pillars, our activities, through a showcase of our ICA Congress that we just recently had in November in Krakow. I don't know, I know that some of you were there because I see some familiar faces, but for those of you who don't know who we are, as Teresa said, we are the International Congress and Convention Association. We are an association made of suppliers and associations, but mainly suppliers who are our members, who are suppliers to the meetings industry. We basically cover all regions, globally, all sectors. We have around 1,000 members in 100 countries. And our main services are the data, the research, reporting, events, networking, and quite a bit of education. So in terms of our regions and our sectors, we cover everything. I am based in Amsterdam. That is where our head office is. I cover all of Europe, and Teresa rightfully said we have around 500 members in Europe, which makes around 50 to 52% of our membership. We then also have offices in North America, in Latin America, Middle East, Africa, and Asia Pacific. So we cover everything, and we cover all the sectors. Our largest sectors are the destinations and the venues. So that's really the majority of our membership, the CVBs, the tourism boards, and the venues, of course, being convention, congress, exhibition centers, and hotels. And then we also have the sector of the congress organizers, so those are the PCOs. The support sector is quite diverse because it includes media and AV and booth builders, so it's a bit of a mix. And then we also have the transport sector, which are the airlines. So that's really what we cover, which is, I suppose you could say, everything. And we do have around roughly 300 associations in our community, and they also are part of our ICA ever-growing membership and community. So our pillars, I guess that every company has, their areas of focus and areas of topics of focus that they want to structure everything around. And our pillars are quite straightforward and quite, I guess, relevant. When we were coming out of the COVID crisis, and around the end of 2021, we were trying to think of how do we want to come out stronger, but also how do we want to tie everything that we do, all of our activities, with what members are talking about and the community is talking about and what is important to this industry. So we identified these 4 pillars, quite simple and straightforward, as I said: legacy, equity, diversity and inclusion, sustainability, and business focus. Now, business focus is a pillar that we just added recently because we saw another shift in 2022, and that ROI is changing and the community is talking about another value and another need for a purpose by attending events and joining communities and associations. So we'll talk more about that. So as I said, we decided these were our pillars around the end of 21. Our pillars of activity are really integrated in everything that we do. So this can be in terms of an event that we're planning, an education that we are planning for an event, partnerships. So we have Liz from IMEX with us today, and IMEX is a partner of ICA. We're industry partners, and one of the things that we always do at the ICA Congress is a lunch that is hosted by IMEX. And IMEX team always works on that with us, and they always make sure that the sustainability aspect is heavily integrated into that lunch. So that is an example of how we work these pillars into our partnerships as well. Now, in terms of Congress 22, it took place in Krakow in early November, and we designed the Congress in a way that these pillars were also the guideline for the way that we designed the days and the program. So every single session, panel, keynote speaker, every day was dedicated to a certain pillar. And I'm going to use that as an example for how we approach these different pillars and how we continue to do it in 2023. So sustainability, everybody talks about. When I was an ICA member and I was working for a venue in Tel Aviv, it was already something that I cared about a lot, and I did small things like waste management at the venue. But it was constantly a feeling that I had that wherever I go, I hear about this topic, but we're talking about it and we're reading about it, but what are we actually doing about it? And when I joined ICA in April 2020, one of the potential partnerships that we had on the table was with the GDS, the Global Sustainability Movement. Some of you might know them, especially because of their destination ranking for sustainability. We launched a partnership with them, supporting their Sustainability Academy. And we are heavily promoting this to the industry because we believe in education for sustainability. But when I joined ICA, my question was, what are we doing internally? Like, how are we educating our team? Are we just talking about moving from plastic to glass bottles, or are we also doing something to truly bring it in-house? And this is really what we've taken as an objective and a goal for ourselves, and we try to work it into everything that we do. So an example for ICA Congress was that we started the planning for the Congress with the team in Krakow. And we basically went to the host committee team and we told them, okay, we need to think about everything that we're doing when it comes to sustainability for this event. And it starts with small elements and small steps. So for example, portion control and waste management, and not refilling the cookies every single coffee break because a lot of it goes to waste, and encouraging our attendees to walk to the evening events and to take public transport by offering them a public transport card. So these are small things that we can all do quite easily, and as event organizers it can also save you a lot of money. But these are just some examples of how we worked with the destination. We also have a measurement report that we basically share every year after Congress. It's a report that basically shows how did ICA do when designing this Congress. So did people mainly travel long haul or short haul? Did people feel that there was a lot of waste, or did people feel that it was very sustainable and that the food was locally sourced? And it's a way for us to not only showcase this to our industry and our members, but also to take a look at the report and, okay, this is where we did good, this is where we did bad, this is where we can improve, and so on and so forth. Now, for 2023, in terms of the holistic approach, we have started an internal ICA Green team. What we're doing is we are focusing on teaching ourselves and educating our team internally. This means that we're doing a lot of data and research collection, and we're reading and we're putting out surveys to our members and asking them, what do you want to see in our events in terms of sustainability? And then we educate our teams, because it's important that we all practice what we preach and not just talk about it, but also do it in-house. So it's an inside-out approach. We are also working on creating a flagship event that will be all about sustainability, and it will be the event of ICA of the year that waves the sustainability flag. Now, ICA Congress is a good example. It's a good starting point, but it's a large event, and it's around 1,000 delegates usually, and that's a bigger event to try to transform it. It will take a longer time to make it fully sustainable. So what we're doing is we're trying to launch an event that will be our sustainability event. And I think that it's with these small steps and working with all the different departments in the company that you can start integrating that and showcasing it outside to the world. And some of you may know when it comes to sustainability that we also collaborate with GDS every year for the destination ranking and awards. So at the ICA Congress, there is always an award that is offered to the top 3 destinations who have done something remarkable when it comes to sustainability, new projects, and things that they're doing to really showcase how sustainable they are. Second pillar, equity, diversity, and inclusion. Now, this is a very large topic. I admit that when I first read about this topic a couple years back, I thought, what does this actually mean? I mean, does it mean that we're focusing on a specific group in the community? Are we trying to address everything? Are we trying to hit all the marks? Because trying to hit all the marks going from 0 to 100 doesn't always work. And the more we talked about it internally, we actually had a group in our team that brainstormed about this. And we started raising topics like, what does this mean for me? Me as a woman, what does this mean for me? And someone on the team said that they have a sibling with special needs, and what does this mean for them? And we started talking about this very openly, and then we grew it to the group that was working on the ICA Congress program. And then we started asking our members. And by growing this group all the time, we started getting more and more feedback and identifying specific topics within diversity and inclusion that we wanted to address. Now, for 2022 at Congress, we decided to zone in on 2 quite important topics that we found that were being discussed quite a lot in our industry and among our members. The first one was the multiple generation in the workforce. So how is our community and industry dealing with this? You know, often you go into a company and you have very young people working on the team and people who have been in this industry on the other side for 30, 40 years who have a certain way of approaching the work. How do they mix? Where do they clash? How are you approaching these different generations? And what does it mean for the stability of the organization and for the future of the organization? So that was a very important topic that we addressed. And we would like to continue working on this internally within ICA as well for 2023 and onward, because we are seeing that there is quite a shift even internally. Our staff is quite young. Not all of them come from the meetings industry and have a long history. They don't always know what the meetings industry is. So we're trying to start internally here as well. The second topic that we found that is very relevant is that women are truly a majority in this industry. In almost every event that you go to, you look around the room, you will see it's a lot of women. And what we wanted to talk about was, how far do we get? Is there a glass ceiling? And if there is, what does that glass ceiling look like? And can we break it? Can we change it? Can we mold it into something else? Are we talking about this enough? So this was also a topic that we addressed, and Karina Bauer, the CEO of IMEX, led the panel discussion, and it was a wonderful panel because we got true diversity from different regions and women in different positions. We also had a keynote speaker at Congress, Michelle Mason, the CEO of ASAE. She spoke about true acceptance, and this basically means that what we look at when we talk about this pillar, we believe that everybody has a voice in this industry and we're all serving the same purpose, and that's something that we'd like to showcase more in our activities this year. Legacy. Legacy can be understood in many ways. So it can be, what are you doing for your destination by having an event? Often we talk about legacy in the form of association meetings and what is the impact that they're leaving in the destination that they go to. This is actually a very classic case and a project that goes way back. As a good example, the Incredible Impacts Award. It is a collaboration between ICA and Best Cities Global Alliance. What we do with them every year is that we call for associations to submit a case of an association meeting that they had, so their annual congress or a conference, and what was the impact that this event had on the destination. So there's very specific criteria. It's really about how are you transferring knowledge or skills to a developing country. Do you do something when you go with your event to the destination that has a long-term impact? Are you changing something? Are you maybe offering them new opportunities or new skills for the local community? And this is a very, as I said, classic project that we've been having for many, many years. And it really is one of the most appreciated projects that we have within ICA, and members like to see that we are also taking the approach of what does the association meeting leave in the destination. But as I said, legacy can be understood in many different ways. And another great example that we have is a collaboration, and Matthias is not here yet, but Matthias from the German Convention Bureau, they have basically a program called the Response Room. It's a platform, it's online, it's like social media. It's fantastic. If you don't know it, go visit it. What we did was we launched a collaboration with them called the Innovation Challenge. And this was the first time we've ever done this. It was like a crowdsourcing format. And we basically asked people from the entire industry, whether you're an ICA member or not, to go on this platform and say, what are you doing that is innovative? Very wide and open, right? But we got 30 projects from destinations, from venues, from PCOs, who were talking about all these amazing, innovative, and creative projects that they were launching. And then we opened it to voting. So we let the members of the community vote on these projects and say, this is the most innovative, this is less innovative. And we had 3 winners coming out of this. And the winners were showcased in a session that we did at Congress that Matthias was the moderator for, and it was a fantastic session. And this is a form of legacy because it's also showcasing what are companies in the industry doing that is changing the way that we think, that is bringing some innovation to all of us and new ideas. And it's a format that we hope to keep for 2023. Our last pillar is business focus, and this is quite straightforward. What we thought of is how are we bringing new opportunities to our members and industry that are driving new business opportunities and real ROI. So we launched 2 new events in 2022 that we're going to keep this year as well. The first one being the Global Association Community Forum. It is basically a 1-to-1 business meeting event where you have suppliers and associations talking about potential business to be done. But we had it for the first time in Lausanne, and we're currently working on the destination for this year. And the second one was the Future of Healthcare Meetings. And this is a collaborative event between ICA and AC Forum. It focuses all on healthcare and medical and compliance and different areas of focus that are very specific for healthcare. And it was a huge success, and we're currently looking at the destination and the date for this as well for 2023, so stay tuned. And I'm aware of the time because I just got a little cue that I have to keep it going. So 2023 focus areas. We are launching a new ICA website and a database this year. So companies and members know that we have a website, and I can say this, it's very outdated, it's a mess, you can't find anything on it, so we're launching a new website. Hopefully it's going to be more user-friendly. We have a database that we are working on improving and making also more user-friendly, but also more thorough and more practical, and with more up-to-date information that is fed through not just our research team, but also the members. We're also focusing very heavily on changing the content and the education for our events. So shifting the formats, maybe trying new things, maybe trying a bit more crowdsourcing. ECA Skills is a certification program that we launched in May of 2022. It's basically at the moment an online program where students will go and learn from the industry, about the industry. So it's led by industry leaders, and we're currently looking at launching a couple of centers in Europe where students can actually go and have the experience of like studying together for a week, so kind of like a boot camp. And launching new collaborations. So as I said, we're looking at new formats. We really love this project that we did with the German Convention Bureau, and we're hoping to have more opportunities to work with our members on such opportunities. Just a word on the 2023 shifts that we're experiencing before I wrap up and I open the floor to any questions that are out there. What we're hearing a lot after 22 and planning for 23, because our members will usually come to us and talk to us well in advance about what kind of events are you planning, or when are your events taking place, and I have to budget for my events. And when we ask them, what are you looking for? We're hearing a few things, but mainly these points that attendees can no longer travel and leave the office for 3 or 4 or 5 days as they did before to just attend an event and come back. It's really about what is the value, but also is there a purpose and a meaning that you feel that you're taking part in an event for a better purpose. So like, are you offering any CSR activities? Are you donating anything? Is there something that goes beyond just the gathering of people? So that's something that we're hearing quite a bit. Wellness, finding the balance, having more breaks, getting fresh air, stretching your legs. That's something that I think everybody feels the need for more post-COVID. And again, that goes with the shift and the change in formats of events and the short-term planning. So I think everybody understands that there is an increased need for flexibility, and there's a lot more short-term planning than there was before. I think in the past, I remember being an ICA member and registering for an ICA event 6 months in advance. And now what we often get is questions like 2 weeks in advance. So I think that that's something that we need to plan for as an organization, but also recognize as an industry. So I think I made the time. Thank you very much. Thank you. Questions, I guess?
Okay, so I definitely have some questions. Thank you for the most informative and interesting presentation. Before my questions, I would like to give the option to you. So anybody interested in anything specific? Anything that you would like to ask concerning the activities, pillars, anything that Tamara was speaking about? I'll even just take your time to think about it. I would like to ask one question. You were talking about all the new things, all the changes that we've been going through. How exactly is that shifting the perspective of activities in 2023? That would be interesting.
Thank you. So I think what we're seeing, and this goes just to the last point that I was discussing, is the need for more flexibility. Recently, I was having a conversation with a colleague, and we were talking about like, what are the trends going to be for 2023 in the industry? And one of our colleagues said uncertainty, and I think that it goes beyond a trend, right? It's actually something that we're experiencing on a daily basis. And of course, we had pandemic, and then there was a war in the region that's still going on, and it's still impacting the region in many, many ways in the world. And of course, as an industry, we are very agile and adaptable, but I think uncertainty is really going to be the one thing we have to keep in mind when we're taking into consideration every single aspect of planning the year and our activities. And that means you have a plan B, a plan C, but also you have to stay very, very flexible and open-minded that everything can change.
Okay, thank you very much. Great. Any other questions? Anything specific? I have one more. Yes, I see a question over there. Okay.
Hello, Tamara. Roman Mushkaprak, one of your members. I would have a question as many people are aware about the famous, let's say, ICA ranking being published every year. We also know that for past COVID years, let's say, you did a big change, the way how you look at the ranking. So what are the plans for last year, let's say the 2022?
Thank you, Roman. I'm happy you asked that because I wasn't sure if I should include in my presentation. So it's like you read my mind. Eco ranking, you're right. What we did during COVID is we moved away from the traditional ranking. We basically just collected information on meetings that were postponed, canceled, digital. We're going back to a normal ranking because we see that there is high demand from our members, and also our members are basically saying, "Hey, meetings are back on." So we are going back to a regular ranking, and we're just going to position all the destinations based on the events that they had in the year. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions we have from the public? Anything that you'd be interested in? I have one more question. It's also about, of course, all the range of services and the know-how and the knowledge that you have within ICA. So I was wondering if also ICA has the ambition to play the role of consultant to the international professional organization in terms of the three pillars that you were talking about.
That's a good question because that question has come up internally as well. I think that at the moment what we're trying to focus on is to have a very stable and structured organization internally that we can also reflect externally. I can speak for Europe because that's my region, and this is a region that is very stable and strong and quite mature. We have members who have been with us for, I believe, 42 years now, Eric. So we have members who have been with us for 50 years. And I think what we're trying to achieve first is to find that voice that is very strong and structured and showcase that through our pillars, through our activities, and grow the services more and more. But it's a very good idea, and I will share that. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we could have time for one more question if we have any. If not, of course, I think Tamara, she told me she'll be here, of course, during the coffee break, and she'll happily answer all of the questions as well. So if we don't have any other questions, thank you very much. You can come to And before we move to the second speaker, just a little interruption, because we've got here finally the director of Czech tourism, Mr. Jan Perger, who wanted to say hello and greet you. So please for a very short hello. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm very happy that I can see so many of you after many years of COVID, so many nice people, that of course was the most affected sector. I wanted to thank Reza a great deal, to the keynote speakers, because there are many great keynote speakers that are willing to share their secret knowledge and secret tricks, and actually also to all the regions and business partners that came to be naturally mass, because mass for Czech Republic, for Czechia, as we say now, it's one of the crucial business segments, and I hope that we will together manage to come back where we were proud among top 10. Czech Republic was, let's say, not top 10, but still on the top of the list, so I hope that together we can manage to be back. So.
Thank you, yes, and we are all just getting used to it, Czech Republic or Czechia, moving there, and actually this is what our second presentation is going to be about the rebranding, and we are going to see a very nice case study of rebranding from Holland to the Netherlands. And we recommend who is going to present us this topic. Eric is the Director of Marketing Meetings and Conventions in the Netherlands Board of Tourism of Conventions. And after a successful completion of Hotel University in 1989, Eric started his career in the hotel industry, soon followed by the meetings and events industry, and then continued at Amsterdam Exhibition and Convention Center. Destination marketing for business events in the Netherlands at the Netherlands Convention Bureau was the start of his career within the national DMO. Eric is now the Director of Marketing, and he is holding also several board positions within the international as well as national communities for marketing business events for a destination. He's also a past board member of ICA, co-founder of the Strategic Alliance on the National Convention Bureaus of Europe, and also a board member of the Dutch Pre-Finance and Guarantee Congress Fund. Eric has supported numerous national and international associations with over the past years and plays a key role in the Dutch and international destination marketing sector for business events. I hope I didn't forget anything. He's also a great sailor. Yes, this is what I forgot. Let's start with the presentation.
Every great idea starts somewhere. It might be something you've seen, or somewhere you've been. A conversation had or overheard, or that moment you made sense of the seemingly absurd. The way something is caught in the light, or a painting of those watching over the night. It's when 1 + 1 actually becomes 3. It's the unlimited power of us when we are we. It's a house on its side, or a walk at low tide. It's what happens when free thoughts are given opportunity to come out. Because a break from the norm can give a thought in full, or the perfect conditions for a brainstorm. An idea comes from a brain that's served a rich diet, or a brain that's finally found some peace and quiet. And when that somewhere is a place that's open in both mind and heart, thoughts are free to wander, and the greatest ideas can start.
Thank you. So, those of you who did the math know that I have been working for the Netherlands Board of Tourism and Conventions for over 23 years. And it's 42 years membership of DATA, which is, I know, a crazy long time. Because you know why? Because we're in the most perfect industry. So that's meetings and conventions. And representing your country as a destination, there's only my team and myself who do that. So, as long as they're happy with me and our team, then why not? And I'm so happy that Teresa asked me to tell you something about rebranding a destination and how we did that and why it was actually necessary. Is it important? Who knows? So, the story about the why and how and changing a destination's brand, why it involves more than just a brand new logo, but also a brand logo. It's more than that. So let me just start by when I started at the Netherlands Convention Bureau, which was at that time not attached to the Netherlands Board of Tourism, where then Holland was actually, in my bureau, a curse name. Holland, that's about tulips and windmills and clocks and cheese. Yeah, Holland no more. And who would have guessed that when we were incorporated by advisor of our Ministry of Economic Affairs, that we were to join the Netherlands Board of Tourism and the Netherlands Board of Tourism, joining the enemy, tourism. But then I said, well, I'll give it a chance. And I was actually left. All my other colleagues went away and went different paths. I would continue in Holland, and who would have guessed that I would still be wearing my little sign here, which is a tulip, and still remains until this day our corporate logo, a tulip. Why did it? I will explain later on. Anyway, Holland no more. Dutch government officially drops nickname, etc. And the picture here, which is actually one of our state of secretary, yes, I'm saying that right. Chiefs, the girls, yada yada yada. Let's go on. Were we happy? Because I was actually so used to use the brand name Holland, and perhaps some of you are here in this room. I think Roland knows. You remember Mr. Holland? See? My God, that was a campaign. Such a wonderful campaign, until the guy in question gave an interview in a ladies' magazine about his sex life. So you can't do that. Nobody knows. So, no, you're Mr. Holland, you can't do that. Or actually on one of the last events when we did a farewell party. And I mean, he was quite a handsome guy. And then this American lady came walking next to me and said, do you know if Mr. Holland is available? What do you mean? Well, I can take care of him this evening, and she wasn't kidding. So, Mr. Holland called. And then news came in that we were changing the brand from Holland to NL Netherlands, which officially is actually the Kingdom of the Netherlands, like the Czech Republic, Czechia. We say in the Netherlands, we say Czechia, not the Czechische Republiek, Czech. So we're already used to it, okay? So from Holland to NL, Netherlands. I'll give you an introduction on how and why, then and now, and the campaign which is attached to changing the brand name. Now, first a little bit about ourselves. We are, as well you know, are the Netherlands National Destinations Management Organization. So the word management is really different from promotion. So we went away from promotion to marketing to management or development. We work with our partners. Our most important subsidizer is, of course, the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate, as most of the European destinations are being funded. And together we work on the Netherlands or as a destination to a livable, popular and valuable destination for residents, visitors and businesses. And the last word I made sure was in that proposition. Before you know it, tourism takes over. So we're with 70 people around the world, from anywhere between China and New York. Most of us work at head office in The Hague. We have 7 offices around the world, and our turnover, for those who are interested, is 13 million euros, of which 9.2 comes from our government. Right, offices, which are especially for our meeting conventions, are based in New York, and of course head office in The Hague, in the Netherlands. My team consists worldwide of 7 people and 2 freelancers. What happened? This is Mrs. Sigrid Kaag, at that time Minister of Foreign Affairs with the Dutch government, now Minister of Finance. And this happened. This is Simon Anholt. Who knows who Simon Anholt is? Yes, good. He's known for the Good Country Index. There's a worldwide index, and there is a Good Country Index, and there is the Anholt Ipsos Nation Brand Index. It's a huge index with a panel of thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So basically they do an annual research based on each nation's reputation is along 6 dimensions of national competence: immigration, export, culture, people, tourism, and governance. Note the tourism. We dropped from, I believe, 11 to 13 somewhere. That was cause for alarm. My God, what happens now? We dropped 2 places on a nation index of about more than 500, I don't know, hundreds of countries. And we were still up somewhere. Who cares? But still, somebody cares. We did. But also our national government and especially the minister. Now, first of all, this is Holland. Excuse me, the Netherlands. You see 2 provinces, North and South Holland. This is where the original Hardigay originates from, okay? I am actually from here. This is Limburg, a soft G. Am I recognizing myself with those people, Hollanders, people from Holland, from those group of provinces? No, I don't. Actually, I do live there. Now, near Amsterdam. But still, do the Limburgers recognize themselves in the Hollanders? The Frisian people have their own language, which is, I can't even understand it. Frisian. It's an official language. Do they recognize themselves in Holland and in the clocks and the tulips and the windmills and the cheese? No, they didn't, and they don't, and they will never. Is Holland now a forbidden name? No, it's not. We can still use it, but it's one reason why we changed or felt we to change. But that's more of an internal reason. Most important reason was the fact that we dropped a few places on the big Anhalt index. So, I think this is a familiar picture. The strategic UN development goals, I believe that you also will be showing them. So, but that's a good sign. You know why? Because we all adhere to. So when designing the new brand, not the logo, the brand, was that we felt, okay, which areas within those UN development goals are important for us as a nation? Decent work and economic growth, of course. Reduce inequality, sustainable cities, etc., etc. So we choose, all of them are important, but we choose these to focus on. We also wrote a new perspective on income and tourism as a whole. So not just tourism, but also business events. And I was very happy to see, because, you know, where tourism is leading within an organization, which is fine, the number of larger, that's all, I understand it. But sometimes I really had to struggle and say, don't forget about business events. Business events are important. Why? They drive not just the fact that they spend more, those visitors, for business events, but also the fact that they enrich the knowledge economy in the country, not only in the Netherlands, throughout the world. So I was happy that we at least had the, and in Dutch I'm sorry for this sense, Congress programming, and I'll explain in a moment what it was about, and business meeting. So I was very happy that at least in our programmatic approach, that's how we call it, everything has to adhere to this perspective. Now I won't go into the details, we don't have the time for now, but let me just quickly explain what Congress programming is all about. Because in the business events, that's what most of us do. We attend international trade shows, we do acquisition of international meetings. That's not me, I mean, all of us do that. But Congress programming is something new. Last year we started by appointing someone who owns and works in a network within the Dutch top sectors, chemicals, water, creative industries, etc. She, in this case, has a giant network, and we're actually mapping the possibilities of inventing new business ideas, new business events. Not the ones who already exist, and we try to get to the Netherlands, that's all fine, but also be at the cradle of inventing or initiating new events. We're now in the 2nd year, and the lady's role has changed from mapping the possibilities to actually build coalitions. So I'm really happy that we finally have something like that in place. I mentioned the Dutch top sectors, which all have to do with the whole rebranding strategy. I can tell a whole lot, but I think a short video actually makes it more clear.
How do we keep healthcare affordable and accessible for everyone? What can we do against climate change? How do we convert waste into valuable resources? And how do we stay safe and ahead of threat? The Netherlands set their focus to meet these challenges with concrete missions for 2030, 2050, and beyond. We are looking for cutting-edge innovations and entrepreneurs, challengers who search for inventive solutions with leading scientific insights and key enabling technologies. From startups, small and medium-sized enterprises, to large businesses, supported by scientists and government, to gain even more impact. Together, they join forces in 9 top sectors to carry out 25 missions with leading knowledge and technology about energy, food, water, healthcare, and engineering. By crossing over boundaries and working together, focused on our common objectives for a climate-proof and water-robust Netherlands, staying healthy as long as possible in a safe society, a sustainable production of food, and much more groundbreaking work originating in the Netherlands, but also successful abroad. Other countries are facing the same challenges as we do, working together to shape our future. This provides new opportunities for Dutch businesses.
So, there's a difference in the brand positioning of a country versus the brand promise and marketing proposition of a country as a business event destination. So as you may have noticed from the short video, the global challenges have been mentioned a few times. So solving global challenges together in an open, inventive and inclusive way. Great, but if I see a meeting planner, hi, I'm Eric. I'm solving your global challenges in an open, inventive and inclusive way. I lost him and he or she lost me. So, I mean, as a brand positioning for a country, fine. But we had to find a brand value for the Netherlands as a whole, and then that became open, inventive, and inclusive. And when we did further research, we found out that visitors to our country, tourism or business alike, found that they like to have a friend in the Netherlands, being one of us. That's what they talked about. So the brand promise became one of us. And that we translated into the campaign, which is bring yourself, will do the same. So from a proposition of a country to a campaign, which is for the Netherlands as a tourism and business destination. Bring yourself, will do the same. And what it is all about, again, a video, I can talk like forever, but I think this video explains it all.
Appreciate the values. I mean, bring your own values. I mean, keep your mind open and bring curiosity. Bring passion and interest. Bring sparks and inspiration. Appreciate local DNA. Live like a local. Meet someone new. Of course, life is about appreciation. Share different views. Bring your own color perspective. Share your energy. Bring a smile to your taste. Follow your dreams always. Why not? Bring some more fun, bring some soul searching, self-love, some love, in abundance, bring your opinion and your own stories. Make some new stories. Just keep it real. Tell the front. When you're here, day again. When wherever you want, come to the front. Come and go. Come along. Come together, all alone. Bring something different just by being yourself. Ubuntu. I am because we are free. Yes, bring something fresh, bring a positive mindset, plus mindset. Take some time and take a break. Bring yourself, will do the same.
People are like, wow, is this from Holland? And I say, yes, it is. And that's something that makes me very proud.
You're not only tasting the local food, but you also gain more knowledge about this area.
We have a typical Dutch landscape. In about 30 minutes, you can go from the ocean through the forest. You can see windmills. Basically, everything is over here. That means collaborating with the Belgians and the Germans. And that collaboration with our neighboring countries is in our DNA.
Everything we do, we want to do it in a corporate, social, responsible manner. And at the same time, we are searching for opportunities to improve the positive impact of the right to society.
People will look at waste from a very different perspective. Think more in the philosophy of reduce, reuse, recycle.
I believe art and science in this time has come together they bring action.
If you start building something new, it's really important you do it sustainable. We do something not for now, but also for the next generation.
So, no tulip, no windmill, no clock, no cheese, entirely nowhere in this whole campaign. Is that bad? No. Are Americans still interested in clock, windmills, cheese, and tulips? Yes, of course. That's fine. Are the Chinese? Yes, that's fine. As long as you don't get into the tulip field, which they do, fine. Anyway, what you may have seen or you may have noticed is the fact that these are stories about real people. Not just like slow motion pictures of people having wine, blue skies, and enjoying their meeting. It's not about that. It's fine. If people choose to do that, that's okay. But we felt that we had to share stories about what people do in their daily life and have a connection with our industry. You may have noticed the lady from the Rhine was the corporate sustainable manager of the Rhine in Amsterdam, and she talked about what they do on whatever in this case convention center can do for sustainable reasons. We had someone from a hotel which is a 100% CO2 free, I'm not sure what the words are, but building. And every partner which we work with gets that video, gets a video done or a photo, and that's what we explain on trade shows, that's what we explain on LinkedIn, that's what we explain in campaigns, offline, online, on paper, on video, whatever. So yes, of course we need buildings, of course we need hotels, that's all there, but that's not enough. It's about the people behind. That's why we choose to have this campaign as we did it. Bring yourself will do the same, basically resonates to everything we want to communicate as a destination under the Netherlands brand. Making impact together, as well the target group for business event planners, consciously or unconsciously have a positive impact to our destination. We'll focus for this and next year on green and dynamic cities, obviously, open and inventive and a healthy lifestyle. And that gives us, at least when we are present as a destination on where we are most visible, on trade shows, for example, there are so many angles we can work with to have meetings at our booth, but also here to these 3 topics. We adapt our presentations to that before, during, and after. So the rebranding is now a fact. And to be honest, I was a little bit skeptical about it when we started. Why change? And every time it was, the Netherlands is not Holland and Holland is not the Netherlands. And I said, yeah, but we wrote the books about it. But then again, if you need to be open to change, I changed too. And I still use the word Holland when I'm in the US. Where are you from? From Holland. If I say the Netherlands, where is that? Holland, fine. But officially it is, and we're happy to work and give it a new meaning to a destination for meetings and events. And I think that concludes my story for now. Am I within the time or not? Okay, good.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It was most interesting. And now again, we have time for some personal questions, if there are any. Of course, I have also many, but I'd be happy if also, yes, I see a question over there. So let's see there.
New question. I used to live in Amsterdam, so I know that the hall is part of the Netherlands. But I still, somebody asked me, where do you go? I still say I go to Holland. Yeah. If Holland plays football or soccer, it's still Holland. So my question is, because you did invest in this your branding, if you would judge it, do some financial or any other reputation changes that you would attribute to this change. So if it was just because you want to do it and you think it's better, or you did it because of financial reputation, etc. reasons, and if you can see somehow measure these changes.
It's the first. Did we measure already? No, it's too short. This all started in 2019, and then hit us. So we haven't done yet a so-called zero count. The cost of rebranding, let's say, design, everything, and not just for us and the National Board of Tourism Conventions, also the whole top sector industry had to change from Holland Invest to Netherlands Invest. Has anybody changed? No. Only the rebranding, let's say, the part of designing the whole thing cost about 200,000 euros. The rest was for our accounts. I had to pay for a new booth or designing a new booth, for example. So it's an organic thing which will take time. It's not finished yet. It's not ready yet. But at least every official messaging from the Netherlands is now done as and not just because for the fun of it, because we had to change it in the end. Is Holland now forbidden? No, it's not. And we can still call it Holland for football or whatever. It's fine.
So do I understand it correctly that not all the organizations are Netherlands, that the Holland Invest is still Holland Invest?
Well, that's what I mean. Yes, they are. Because they haven't changed yet. They will in the near future. But it's I'm not sure how to call it in English, but saying a thorn in my eye that it didn't change yet because they have to change too. We can, they can too, and it's a matter of time, so no reason.
And was it government forced it to you, or was it organic that you do it because you want to do it?
In the end, it was, yeah, it sounds not so nice, but that's just put it like it is. It was forced upon us, yes. But that sounds a little bit, almost Russian.
So another question, please.
Hello, it's Hannah from Prague Convention Bureau. I have quite a similar question regarding some KPIs or measuring the campaign, because I can imagine it's quite tough in the beginning. How do you measure whether to change something or whether your campaign is doing well and you would like to stay in this this narrative or something like that? Is there anything like that, like on a service or something like hard data for this campaign?
I can only comment on the result of the campaign for this event so far, not for the entire rebranding. I don't know. I don't know. But then I don't have those figures on the latest figures of our campaign available, not with me, but I'm happy to share. They're not secret, but I'd be happy to share when we.
Second question.
To continue with what you mentioned earlier, thank you so much for your presentation. I was just wondering, what was the biggest challenge during the campaign that you managed to overcome, and how did you do that? Maybe in some creative ways. What was the most challenging that you faced during that?
Well, on a very practical matter, everything you saw was shot in the midst of COVID-19. While we're in face masks and taking them off for the actors or the players in the movie, that was the hardest practical thing. The challenge first is you start with an empty sheet of paper when you create a new campaign. You need to be able to have a starting point on what's the general idea behind the campaign. You may think that the city of Utrecht or Amsterdam would like to have its own branding when we made a joint campaign, but they didn't. They all stick to the fact that the sender is us, it's the Netherlands, that country, of which Amsterdam is not a separate country, as they sometimes think they are. I can say it now because there's no one from Amsterdam here. We don't know. But still, so that was a challenge, but they all accepted the fact that we were the messenger, not the city, or the hotel, or the convention center. And that's something we overcame, fortunately.
Right.
Promise I will last picture so many other questions of mine. But I would have one practical question because we are having a discussion about the brand for some time already here. So it doesn't matter if it's the first, let's say, Czechia, Czech Republic, or that let's say brand that will be country of the future, or if it will be the stories, right? But I think we can live with one, let's say, main slogan for covering both in the end. But maybe a question regarding the video you showed us the last one. Is it the one major one you are using for both, for business events as well as leisure touring? And if yes, are you considering to have something which is more related to one or another part? Or do you think that this one will work for both in the end?
If you would have asked me that question 3 years ago, I said, can we have one campaign for both tourism and business events? No way in hell. No way in hell. It's a different target audience. I'm looking at associations or corporate event planners. They're not open for a tourism message. And then we got together with our entire marketing department. They said, they really made me see the possibility whether or not we could have a joint message for both tourism and business events. And it was done. Just one of us, and bring yourself, bring your creativity, bring your whatever, I don't care. Worked also for business event planners to actually get a quick research among associations and corporate planners alike. I said, how would you be open to such a message? And they all said, well, not that we don't care how, as long as we feel recognized in your message. How many times have we not, we have been at some meetings in our industry abroad that we were spoken to by a governmental person. But then you go to meetings. We were all there, be in convention bureaus or centers, and if we don't really, then sort of we're just like we are colleagues and competitors. So as long as our target audience feels recognized in our message, then it's fine. So yes, it can be done. It can be done that you have one campaign, one brand voice, but the message or the content may differ a little bit, of course.
Okay, we have one more question over there.
Good afternoon, my name is Katarzyna Pawłowa. I'm from Prague School of Economics and Business. I would just like to thank you for an interesting presentation, and I'm curious to know if you already have some perception, some reaction from the MICE segment, like originating in the Netherlands. What do they say, like people from hotels, destination management companies, MICE experts, those really organized business thing? So do they identify themselves with this easily, or if you have like a reaction to my question? Thank you very much.
Obviously, when we presented a new campaign under the new brand voice and brand name, we made it look like a movie premiere, as in we're going to do something different. So we invited them to a place, I believe it was like a cinema, with a giant screen, and then not knowing how they will be able not to respond in any way to what we had to show. And we didn't want it to tell them just by lots of PowerPoint and words and sentences, but by just making it possible and trying to capture all of our messaging in one video, the first one we saw. And that's what persuaded them.
Back to the third presentation, which will be very interesting, and when we need to focus, I think, so concentrate yourself, because Neil is going to present us the Visit Scotland's business events listing-driven model. Neil is head of business events at Visit Scotland, leading a team of 10 dedicated business event specialists, and he's also responsible for the development and implementation of the business events strategy at a national level for Scotland. Neil, of course, works closely with the city convention bureaus of Glasgow, Edinburgh, Dublin, and Aberdeen, as well as the main convention centres in Scotland. And more recently, the new policy-driven model has raised business events to a higher strategic level within Scotland, aligning with Scottish Government's ambitions for the country across more than 14 policy areas. With over 30 years experience in the international hospitality and business events industry, Neil joined Visit Scotland in 2008. His career prior to that included the business development with Sodexo, as well as Director of Sales and Marketing at Rockford Hotels and Revenue Development with Lamentian Hotels in the USA. Neil is also on the current board of directors and trustees of PCMA, the Professional Convention and Management Association, where he is also chair of the Finance Committee and Secretary Treasurer, and he has spoken at many industry forums, including the UN World Tourism Organization General Assembly in China, and this time also in Prague. So we are happy to have you here, Neil, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Teresa, and thank you for the invitation to speak. It's a pleasure to be back here in Prague, Czech Republic. I was also here 6 years ago for the ICA Congress. My name is Neil. I come from a country called Scotland. The name of the country has always been Scotland. A lot of my story is a similar story, it's a similar journey to what Eric has told us about, so it will give us some time back. It's been a long session so far, so I know, and the only thing between you and more coffee will possibly the bathroom. So if you can't wait, don't mind. I won't take it personally, but I'm just going to start. What Eric was telling us was fascinating. Some of the discussions within Holland and the Netherlands, some of the internal politics, the idea of people in parts, regions, saying we don't want to be represented like that. It's the same in Scotland, but perhaps less complicated. Scotland, I have no map, but we are part of the United Kingdom. We are a component part of the United Kingdom alongside England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. So I am Scottish and British, but I'm not Scottish and English. Population of Scotland is 5 million people. Talking of smaller countries, 5 million. The whole of the UK is about 60 million. So an idea of the numbers here. I mentioned I'm going to focus on some things that Eric spoke about. And I'm sorry, Eric, there was a windmill in that last video. I know, it wasn't. Yes, we also wrote a wind turbine. It's the new word. So let me start. The whole thing about the delegate experience as well, the tulips, the windmills, it's the same as Scotland. And to me, that is the delegate experience. The delegate experience is the visitor experience. But we have exactly the same problem here. So, I'm talking to you about the policy-driven model. This is an idea for you today. It's a concept. Don't worry about the detail. This is just an idea at a regional level or a national level. The icons of Scotland. The Highland dancers, the tartan, the castles, the Highland coo, the whiskey, the bagpipes, Edinburgh, golf, beautiful girls and men. We have all the icons. But this is the traditional way of selling Scotland, and every country has icons. But what we are doing in Scotland is moving from the traditional tourism model to a policy-driven model, and I'll explain what that is. When we are talking about attracting Americans, Derek said, yes, they want the golf, the whiskey, the bagpipes, the tartan. They want the tartan for their family to take home and wear. That is the incentive market. And as I said, the incentive market is looking for visitor experience, the tourism experience. So that's fine. But what we're talking about are corporate meetings and association congresses. And it means that the Scottish icon is beginning to look like this. We have North Sea oil and gas. We have universities. That's the University of Glasgow, but we have 2 universities in Aberdeen. And I think Aberdeen, the city of Aberdeen, has more universities than Oxford or Cambridge. 2 before Oxford or Cambridge even existed. Life sciences, all the usual things. But this is the modern Scotland. Not this, but this is important, I can't emphasize enough. We're not saying this is not interesting, we're saying this is not what we're doing. So, here is an analogy, the iceberg. You may have seen this before when you've been to Topeka, and I've borrowed these slides from James and the Joint Ministry Council. It's the iceberg. And I use this for governments. There's the visitor economy, tourism, and everything else. There is tourism. But if we turn the iceberg upside down, the priorities of any government, this is at a national level or a regional level, there's the tourism and this economic spending. We can do this with our eyes shut. It happens anyway. But what a government is interested in are these words. It'll be exactly the same for your national government or your regional governments. And what we realise, along with DCMA and PICA and others, is that business events can be used as policy delivery platforms. In other words, they can be used for social and economic progress. Not solutions, but progress, moving things forward. And that means we're doing everything, but we still get that economic spend. So again, it's this Scotland, not the tartan and bagpipes and the golf. You don't need to read this slide, don't worry, but this is the National Performance Framework. Every country has this, and it is a very top-level list of 14 or 15 ambitions for Scotland at a national level. I can send this to you. And it's to create a more successful country. It's to give opportunities to everyone, to reduce inequalities, give equal importance to economic, environmental, social progress, blah, 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 blah. It's the same in every country, and I know Teresa has researched the exact equivalent of this for your country. There's also the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you, Eric, for using this slide. So nobody's impressed. So yes, we've seen this already, quickly. But a reminder of what the national outcomes, what Scotland wants to be, the national outcomes are connected to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So in business events, we can connect not just with one or two, but with every single one, sometimes more than one. And a little thing not many people realize is the UN, these 17 goals, the target for them to be completed is 2030. That's 7 years from now. So there's a lot to do. My point being, business events can connect to every single part of society and community in Scotland, and also here in this country at a regional or national level. And what we call this in Scotland is the triple lock, connecting the three things: the sustainable development goals to the bottom, programme for government, and the national performance framework. And what I mean is for us to intervene, or for there to be government intervention, as I reported with the Scottish government, a congress or meeting must be connected to all three of these. And that means that everything we do is advancing Scotland forward in whatever policy area we're trying to be better in. Welcome to our latest speaker, Matthias from Germany. One thing I'm asked every time by government people or development agencies, and same for Eric and everyone else, what is the opportunity, where are the targets, where do you go? They don't understand the business event sector is in front of us. We know the opportunity, that's our job. But I have to do this slide. This ICA. So, tomorrow I mentioned the database. If I go into the database and search for up to 3,000 people rotating around Europe, for 12,500 meetings we could go after. So that would keep me and my team busy till 21 onto the next century. There's also our own list, and this is what our smaller trophy conferences. And for most countries, the business events strategy will finish there. What's under our noses? Let's go for it just on a rotational basis. And what we do, these are the economic development agencies in Scotland, Scottish Enterprise, Scottish Development International. They pursue 100 sectors, as we saw in Eric's movie. And an example of the sectors, space, life sciences, food, drink, creative. These are the ones that Scotland is very big, strong at. Also in the government in Scotland, there are directorates. There are 40 directorates. We report into the Tourism Directorate, but as Eric and I have been saying today, what we do, what you do in this room is about far more than tourism. You are generating social and economic progress. So there's 40 directorates, for example, digital, economic development, energy and climate change, health, we've had a busy few years, and marine. We are a marine nation, we do a lot of marine science. There's also the NDPBs, Teresa. The equivalent Bs in this country are, there's things like Creative Scotland, Architecture Scotland, the National Library, the National Parks. So there's a particular word for these here. Lily?
Yes, definitely. And we'll be sharing actually the whole document in order to get this to you after presentations so that you can mention each other, of course. As Neil said, there is the whole document for the Czech Republic as such.
Thank you. There's also the national outcomes. I already showed you that slide, the ambitions of Scotland at a national level. And underneath the national outcomes, there's 81 indicators, and that's smaller things like looking after the mental health of young people, looking after the obesity of young people, giving older people better care, transportation networks within our cities. There's so many ways to make business events more than tourism. It's difficult to say. And program for government, I don't know what that is. So these are all the targets. And this is what we say to the government of Scotland. This is where we go. And that slide is easier language for people there. And the UN goals as well. So how does this work in practice? This will be great. So there's a major international conference. They want to come to Glasgow or Edinburgh. So they go to the City Convention Bureau, Prague Convention Bureau, for example. And then they want money. And it's not a lot of money. They put in the pound sterling sign, we don't have a euro button on our computers in the UK. And they come to me for money. And I don't have money, I have tourism. I mean, tourism thing. So, and the argument here is a conference in life sciences or a conference on investment is not tourism activity. It's sector activity. It's policy activity. So I'm going to go to the relevant department in government, the relevant directorate, use for examples, development of digital energy, marine Scotland. And you will remember we had COP26 in Glasgow just last year. So the energy and climate directorate think as it stands are all like COP, but they're not. But it means if we wanted to bring the World Energy Council to Scotland, I'm going to go to the Energy and Climate Change Directorate. If we wanted the World Forum for Foreign Investment, well, I'm going to go to the Economic Development guys. Because I'm not going to give them tourism money, which I can spend on attending IMEX in Frankfurt or IBTN in Barcelona. Equally, if we wanted to win the Ocean Science Meeting is the Marine Directorate. These people have a policy at 2030, 2032. My job is to say, use my department, my team, as policy platforms, milestones on your delivery of your policy. And 10, to show it's not always easy, I put it in the digital directorate. Sometimes it's not obvious where to put something. But all of these have come to Edinburgh, Glasgow, Dundee, or Aberdeen in the last 2 years using this model. All 4 of these. There are more in the pipeline. So why do we do this? I'm not going to read these all out, but the idea is the last one, number 12, to generate spend, economic activity, fill the hotels, fill the convention centers, fill the taxis, make sure the flights are full. Business events do this anyway. But the reason you and I are in this room, the reason that what we do is so important is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That is what we do. We enhance Scotland digitally globally. And I'll let you read the rest later. This is not a completely easy approach, but there have been some good outcomes. We can unlock significant resource and support from the relevant government directorate. There's much better understanding outside the circles of tourism and convention bureaus as to what support can come from the government, especially in terms of the client being interested. It creates a very good pathway for business events into parts of the economy that we normally cannot reach, such as private sector. Again, private sector will keep coming to me for money for a topic that is about their sector. Why would I have money for that? You guys are worth billions, you pay for it. And the understanding of national backing, how important it can be. And, to be honest, for those of us in the government sector, for Theresa, the guys from Prague, it's also about making your city and country look good. So it generates positive PR for the Scottish government and ministers. And I mentioned some of the organisations we normally find it very hard to access. There will be an equivalent of these here in this country. Mostly academic, public sector, private sector, but way beyond tourism. This is beyond tourism. The challenge is the funding model is impossible. It's a nightmare. Who's paying who, on what basis, using what contract. Next time we just don't get involved. We just tell them to pay it direct. Understanding of roles. We had the World Energy Council 3 months ago, and we know the government directorate for energy and climate change, they felt they did not get enough support from me or my team. They didn't understand what was expected of them, and I think perhaps we did not explain to them the World Energy Council know what they're doing. You don't need to come up with an agenda. You don't need to do anything. So there was a massive understanding that when you bring in government departments, you suddenly have a second client. You have the original client, the government directorate, and they need their handheld from beginning to end. So understanding roles was a nightmare. Expectations of what is a good outcome or a bad outcome, for me and Eric, the people being in the country is often enough. But we realise there has to be much more joined up work in that respect, measuring return on investment. What is successful. So, what are we doing? We are repositioning business events upstream, further up the river, in the consciousness of public sector in Scotland. We've been identifying targets out to 2032, and what we're trying to do is change the interest from me, or my equivalents in Edinburgh, Glasgow, as we have in Prague. It's going to the government saying, give us some money for this conference. To the government people saying, Neil, this conference, we want to bring to Scotland, what do we do? And I said, show me the money, and then we'll start doing something. And so it's changing where the interest is from. And we become change agents, not travel agents. So I think that's it. I'm going to play a very quick film, just one film, no windmills, no kilts, no whiskey, no golf. And then it sums up the whole approach that we're trying to do here. But I just want to reassure you that what we do, what we all do in this room, business events, far and away the most important part of the visitor economy. We touch every single thing. So everything you do in this room is very, very important for your regions and the country and the city. Even if you think it's not just me, you're doing wonderful things. Here's a quick video.
Many journeys begin in Scotland, inspired by our pioneering spirit, our commitment to equality, and our constant strive in the pursuit for better. This is where minds meet and the journey to change begins. When we bring scientists together, we find cures. When we bring world leaders together, we fight the climate crisis.
We are powerful enough.
When we bring big thinkers together, they arrive at the answer. And when we meet, we make a better tomorrow. Now, it's your turn. Our stages are set, platforms for big ideas and new approaches that drive social transformation. Our speakers amplify the opinions of brilliant minds. Our spotlights will focus on the world's most pressing issues. Together, we have the power to change the world, and this is the place to make it happen. Create a better tomorrow by meeting today. Start your journey to change in Scotland.
There we go. Any questions? Or is everyone desperate for coffee or a quick bathroom?
I have a little question before anybody else starts the question, because of course the approach that you have chosen is very, let's say, an easy one. Yes. First, I would be interested in the time frame that you set, for this change. How did you plan the whole this project of change? I know this is forever. Yes, forever, but certainly you had something on your mind. How many years can it take probably to move the right way?
Well, it started when we were told to come up with a new strategy about 5 years ago. And I think it was the idea that all we did was go to IMEX America, IMEX Frankfurt, IBTN World. And it looked like we were stuck in the rut. I knew we were not, but it was just a sense in the Scotland government that we do the same thing. So when we came up with a policy-driven model, it kind of caught me by surprise because it's so much more complex and complicated than any other part of Visit Scotland or government agency, touching every single one. It's a huge job. It's making it work. At the moment, all of the progress is ad hoc. So every time we win something, World Energy Council or TED Summit, it's once and then we start again, once and we start again. We do not have all the government directorates understanding us. We don't have everyone in Visit Scotland understanding us. In fact, nobody in Visit Scotland outside my team has a clue what we do. It's just anonymous. They understand sporting events, golf events, cultural events. Nobody understands us. But in terms of the timeline, this is for years. Because if it works as a permanent thing, it's a way of thinking for the government directors to say, we must go and meet Neil's team for our annual meeting to discuss opportunities for the next 5 years. And we will allocate funding. That's when it starts getting better and really works. So this is a 10-year, 15-year thing. By the time it's really working, I'll be retired, so I'll hand it over to somebody else.
Okay, thank you. Long way to go, of course, when we talk about money. It's always a big topic. Maybe one more thing I would be interested in reality. How does it look like with the flow of investment from the ministry to the event itself? Do you provide any coordination or how does it work?
Yes, once we've explained to them that a conference or congress is worth their interest, and often they will decide that it is, but very quickly there becomes a moment where they, as the policy experts or the academics, they know and understand much more about why the conference is useful to Scotland than I do. We can only take it so far. I think myself and Eric, we could sit at a table at a dinner with academics from any sphere, from any sector of industry, but it comes a point where you need the policy people to understand what the opportunity is. And that's definitely a concern. What we do find with the government is they ask, in return for our money, what should we expect in this regard? The minister should say a speech, or the first minister should open it, or we should do a photo shoot or a special announcement, just a list of acknowledgements. And a lot of the work we do is done so well in the sporting and cultural world, where there's rights fees or hosting fees. This is what we have to pay, this is what we got, this is what we get in return. But with business events, and this is a problem that we need to get our clients to help us with, if they're asking for money, they need to be much more specific about what it's going to be for. And if they say, well, it's just going to make a difference, I can't go to a government bar and say, I need €100,000. What for? Or just, it'll make a difference. They want to know exactly. That they think very differently to me, American TS. They have very different mindset in government, in a good way. This is not about bashing government. They are our future. My job is to make business events truly realize their potential as catalysts for economic and social progress, whilst keeping themselves very connected to visit and restaurants. Any other questions?
Yes, and one more question, please.
I just want to double prove that you are speaking of Visit Scotland.
Yes.
And the same is for Visit Holland, because I double checked those pages. Visit Holland has cheese, and it's not number one, but if I have this thing to see it do, then Holland has cheeses and windmills, and you have globe, etc. So it's clear, because I'm asking, because we also have the internal discussion whether leisure and business is different or the same. But both of you said that it's official presentation for the whole segment, but if I go on your pages, by the way, visit networksstillhome.com, which is not high, but you have Holland has cheeses and windmills, you have golf and castles, etc. So I could understand if you could talk about meetings, but not about the leisure part, because at least on the web page it does look different.
Yeah. On our website, visitscotland.com, that is 95% for the leisure traveler, the independent traveler, the Americans. But you will find a business events website as well, which is full of this, what I've been talking about. But a bit like Eric, there's always a pressure to do it all together. And I think I also reluctantly agreed that, okay, some of the images, some of the videos, we can use for our market. Because as I said at the beginning, the delegate experience, when they're not in a meeting, the delegate experience is the same as the visitor experience, the tourist experience, the restaurants, the pubs, the museums, the castles. So yes, it's a big part of it. But it's very hard to sell the government that an incentive group of 200 golfers staying in Gleneagles is somehow making the world a better place, even though, in a sense, it can be. So I think with less money and shrinking budgets, we know that people have to hunt for the business events on our website, and they will find it if they know what they're looking for. So it's tricky, it's a balance. I think that's the word.
Hi.
Hi.
Michaela from Messenger. I wanted to ask about your KPIs and how you work with, on one hand, the size of the events, the people who come, and on the other hand, with the strategic fields, because that's something that we are struggling with at the moment, because of course, sometimes those strategic events are not as big as some other events. So I wanted to ask how you are working with this.
Yeah, well, we work closely with the convention bureaus, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Dundee and Aberdeen. And it took a long time, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, for us to understand our role, our job, because the city commissioners do most of the research, pursuit, and bidding for the big conferences. That's why they come to us when they need help. That's only 1 out of 10 that they come to us, and even less than 1 out of 10 when they need to help them find money. So strategically, it does still sit with the city commissioners. They do more of the heavy lifting. I never actually bid for a conference myself. We don't have the resource, we don't have the technology, it's not what we do. And I don't want to do it either, because it would immediately disrupt the ecosystem between me, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Dundee and Aberdeen. So if 2 of them are bidding for the same one, I stand back and say, well, the client is this side. So it's a very good question, because what I'm talking about suggests all of the strategies should come from top government at the national level. Because at the moment, it's still the cities. So what we have to do is demonstrate to the government what's coming in anyway, the cities, and then gradually educate the government departments to have the confidence to come to us every year or twice a year to say, right, what's coming in, what can we help win? So does that answer your question? We can discuss it in the coffee breaks. I think there's probably a lot we can talk about. Tell me how this is doing.
Okay. Any other question? No? Yes.
Hello, Susanna from Vienna House, from Düsseldorf. I just have a question. If there is concrete incentive for the business group to organize events in Scotland, in the way of kickbacks, or why they should choose the Scotland instead of some other destination? Do you have something in place?
No, there's no fund to attract business events to Scotland. There's nothing to incentivize anyone to come to Scotland. It has to be aligned to a strategy. Only then will it raise money. So there's no fund like the Irish have, for example. They have a fund. But also, why should the taxpayer pay for a private corporate meeting or an incentive? But a taxpayer can pay for an academic congress, because that's good for the country.
So in cities, do they have something, some incentive programs, individual cities in Scotland? Do you know?
Nothing of any size. I think Glasgow has a few €100,000 per year, but we're talking 20,000-30,000 per conference, and most of them they were the budget. So there's no formal funding mechanism. The positive model is intended to be that for when the money is really needed, when Scotland wants the conference.
Thank you.
Good question. Any more before we get coffee?
No? Perfect. Yes, I think we're all looking forward to coffee. Thank you for the excellent presentation. So now we'll go half an hour for the coffee break. So just grab yourself. The coffee break is served outside. That's where the registration is here. So please help yourself, and we will meet here in half an hour. The second part of our presentation, which is going to be also very, very interesting. And first of our speakers for the second part will be coming from Germany, the Managing Director of the German Convention Bureau, Matthias Schulze. And Matthias is passionate about driving change and innovation, focusing on future, through meetings and events as the vital platform for knowledge change. With a degree in business administration, he started out in Hotel Congress Management, Hilton International in Germany, and has now almost 20 years of management experience, including as CEO of the World Conference Center in Bonn, which is part of the United Nations campus. In 2010, he took up his current role as managing director of the German Convention Bureau that represents and markets the German meetings and conference sector on the national and international level with offices in Frankfurt, New York, and Beijing. And together with industry partners, Matthias has initiated various projects such as the Future Middle Space Innovation Alliance that focus on the opportunities and challenges brought about by the digital transformation. I hope we said everything. Matthias, herzlich willkommen. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Teresa. It's always good to visit one of the nicest neighbors we have. It is not our task to predict the future, but it is our task to be prepared for the future. This is a quote from the Greek philosopher Pericles, who said already 2,500 years ago that there's no crystal ball. But on the other hand, we have to get prepared for the future. And this is what we try to do with the research, with evidence-based information, which we share with our partners in Germany, be it the supply side, hotels, convention centers, bistro, or be it the demand side, like corporations or associations, in order to get prepared for future-proof meetings, ideally, of course, taking place in Germany. Before I start my presentation, I'd like to share a short movie with you, which shows you the evolution of the events industry since the very first meeting took place. And the good thing is, meetings are as old as mankind. Since we exist, we meet in order to build trust, in order to share information, in order to gain knowledge, or in order to drive innovation, or in order to have a beer together in Czech Republic. And I just share the short movie with you because a bit before I start sharing the latest information of the research which we conducted last year. Already back in 2015, we started the Innovation Alliance, which we call Future Meeting Space. This is a cooperation between the German Convention Bureau and the Fraunhofer Institute. The Fraunhofer Institute is Europe's largest application-oriented research institute, and together with them, we try to anticipate how future meeting formats may look like. The good thing is, we are looking together with scientists from different fields, like, for example, architects, IT specialists, sociologists, psychologists, even script writers help us to better understand how different sectors will evolve, how different sectors will further develop, and together we try to translate the results and the outcomes of the research in different fields in order to get a better understanding of how business events will evolve in the future. Because what we know is when societies change, the way we meet will also change. Otherwise, we still would sit in a cave around a fireplace from time to time. That's nice, of course, But I think this is the event we are talking about. Before we start with the presentation, I ask you just to I invite you to do this little poll together with me. Where do you mainly work from at the moment? Are you working from home? Or are you working in the office? Or are you working at a so-called third place? That what the scientists call a place which you are not at home, or a place which is not your office. It can be a business trip. It can be, your aunt's home in Berlin when you go to see her for the weekend. You stay for another 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, and do mobile working or remote working. Then we call this a third place. This is interesting. 95% of people in the room are working in the office. 36 people have already conducted the survey. So it's 10% working at the third place and only 2% are working from home. So whenever we do this research on this little poll, in different groups get different answers. And why do we get different answers? Because we have to look very deeply, very clearly into societies, into groups, in order to get a better understanding how they work and how they will be in the future. So a group of scientists maybe has other requirements and needs and expectation when it comes to meeting. And for example, people who are working within a large corporation like Siemens, for example, getting together for a product meeting, for example. And this guy, you probably know him all, Bill Gates, he always has an opinion. I don't know whether he's right or not, but I try to challenge his thesis a little bit. In the very beginning, when the pandemic hit all our lives, he gave an interview in the New York Times, I think it was April 2020, and he shared 3 sentences with the guy who interviewed him. He said, firstly, after the pandemic, over 50% of business trips and over 30% of working days in the office will be eliminated. How does that feel if you run a hotel or an airline or any other business trip related business? The second thing he said was, in the future, there will be a very high threshold for conducting business plans, meaning I have to have good arguments when I want to convince my boss to go on a business trip because I produce and generate CO2. It takes time and it costs money. So why should I go on a business trip? And the third thing he said was, there will always be a possibility to work from home. So my wife is a midwife, I think, and I know that she's not working from home every day. And that shows us that we really have to look in very much in detail what groups we are talking to, what groups we are promoting. Yes, and this guy's always had fun next door. This is of course very good. Okay, what does that mean for us? Bill Gates said 50% of all business trips will be eliminated after the pandemic. Bill Gates is not a market researcher, but market researchers differentiate between traditional business trips and promoted business trips. A traditional business trip is a business trip when I, headquartered in Frankfurt, decide to go to Berlin in order to sign a contract, for example. I go there because I need to visit someone in the office and I sign the contract there. The so-called promoted business trip is a business trip like I do today. I travel to Prague in order to attend a conference. I have to go to Prague because the conference takes place here. Why is it called promotable? Because every destination, every location, every hotel can promote its services and products in order to bring people to that destination. And over the last years, we saw that this shows, for example, all Europeans traveling within Europe to another destination on behalf of business. And you can see that over the last 15 years, from 2006 to 2019, before the pandemic hit all our lives, there was no great increase in the numbers of traditional business travelers. Why? Because more and more traditional business trips have been subsidized or deleted through virtual meetings, through digital meetings, for example. And the number of people attending a conference, that was the driver within the entire business events, business trip market in Germany. So the driver within business tourism over 15 years was attending conferences, meetings, exhibitions, and so on. And here you can see exhibitions, which is the second one from above, did not really increase over the last 15 years, but visiting conferences, congresses, and seminars was the driver, and that's the business we're all in. So I believe, and we believe, that there will be a renaissance of personal encounter, but it will be very different to what we had in the past. Like, this is a research from Harvard University, published, I think, 3 or 4 years ago, before the pandemic started, and it's about how we transfer knowledge. And one of the key outcomes of the research was that moving brains is more important than moving minds. And that's more or less what Neil earlier said, that it is important to bring scientists and smart people from all around the globe together to one place in order to drive innovation, to find solutions for complex problems which we are facing these days. And this is one of my favorite pictures because this shows the evolution of the business world, and it shows the moving pillars of all international rotating scientific conferences which take place every year in another country with at least 50 participants since 1873. So this is 600,000 movements moving from one destination to another. And when you being a scientist for the last 150 years, there were only 2 ways how to spread the word of what you know and what you teach. One thing was you wrote a book or an article and you published it, and the second possibility was to attend a conference and to share what you know with the rest of the world. So this looks totally different today. None of the scientists at least needs to go to a conference because he can use the internet and he can publish, or she can publish everything she wants and spread the word all around the globe. So how will that look in the future? And that's important for us to understand in Germany, important for all of you here in the room as well. We have, that's a very short commercial, but that's only just to give you an idea why we are under pressure and why we need to act, not only to react, why we started that initiative. Because Germany has luckily the top image. We are number 1 and number 2 in international association meetings. There is no country in the world before the pandemic started which hosted more business travelers than Germany, even not USA and even not China. That's not data collected by the German Convention Group, it's data collected by the World Travel Monitor, which is also used by the United Nations World Tourism Organization. And we had more than 3 billion events taking place in Germany with 423 million participants. And this is a pure business case. If 423 people come together once a year, this is a 4.5 times equivalent of the population of our country, we need to act and we need to convince them somehow to come back and to meet again. This is the destinations we promote for the business trips, and you see 10.2% of all business travel related to business events went to Germany back in 2019. And here are a few reasons why this was like it was, and these are also reasons for every country, for every destination in the world, evidence-based information which proves that your destination is an excellent place to meet them. Neil just said a few sentences about that in his presentation, my guest Eric as well. It's about authenticity, of course. Especially in a more virtual and digital world, people want to feel and see and have this emotional experience. Advantage, local expertise. This is what Neil said. It's about that 83% of planners choose the destination according to the industry, meaning I want to link the content the top of my event with a local expertise in science and economy. This is why Scotland Business Scotland, for example, supports these conferences, events, because they help to drive these specific sectors. Sustainability, I think this is clear, that this is a must, and it's not an option anymore, anymore. New communication, new ways of communication lead us to hybrid and digital formats, which 8% of meeting and content planners think will even grow in the future. Safe business trips became even more important during the pandemic. People want to have a safe environment. That's what 75% of all business travelers say. And we know that even during annual meetings like we do today, digital tools helps to drive business within the community, which means in a face-to-face event. And this is my nightmare chart, which I like to share with you, because this shows you the development of the number of participants in Germany over the last almost 20 years. 422 million down to 60 million. Last year it was 10% more than the year before, the second year of the crisis. And this year we will collect the figures only in a few weeks. Probably we will be not back on track, but it will look much better. But it looks different, and this is what I like to show you here today. How could and how can recovery look like? I don't really like the word or the notion recovery, because recovery means going back to where we came from. Recovery means like reinventing, restart. It's about transformation, and that's what we learned during the last 3 years, especially, that our sector is really, really evolving, and it's in a transforming phase for the moment. This is what we all know, the new normal, or I like more the expression, the new now. We had no face-to-face events, and we had some face-to-face events, and probably it was the same here in your country. At the same time, people used to work in the virtual world, they used to work from home. 2% people here, but many others work from home. And there are many advantages with the digitalization. And Gartner, the American Research Institute, called the year 2022 the year of hybridization of our societies. So it's not only about business events, it's also about universities, it's about trade. Everything will become more and more hybrid. We do from time to time, or on a regular basis, we do scenario analysis and recovery scenarios together with Oxford Economics, who help us to better understand how and when business events will recover again under certain circumstances, for example, circumstances. We wanted to know how the war in Ukraine, for example, will impact our industry. We wanted to know in one from Prague, and Teresa will lead that meeting tomorrow. Welcome. Thank you for having us on the way. Future developments for the last 6 to 7 minutes. I'd like to share with you what will influence our sector or industry, not only today but also in the future. This is a so-called megatrend map. Maybe you know it already. It's quite complex, so to say, and everything is connected with everything. It's approximately 60 megatrends which will impact our life on a private as well as on a business level, which will impact our lives on a local as well as on a global level, and which will last at least 15 to 20 years. And what does that mean at the very end of the day? How does the hotel of the future may look like? How does transportation and mobility work in the future when we go on a business trip? And all these megatrends meet from time to time, and sometimes they compensate each other. So that means, and sometimes they drive each other, meaning they get stronger and stronger. And then we take all these 60 megatrends, and the Fraunhofer Institute has created a methodology, a software-based methodology based on artificial intelligence, which puts all these 60 megatrends together, and then it tries to analyze what does that mean at the very end of the day for running a business event. It's more or less translating 60 megatrends and break it down to how the operation of an event may look like in 5 to 7 years. That's always the time horizon we try to analyze in order to give our partners time enough to get prepared for the next 5 to 7 years when it comes to investments, for example, when it comes to creating new business models and other things. And we created all of these 60 megatrends, 3 scenarios. One is called Tried and Trusted, the second one, diverse and flexible, and the last one, green and aware. And the framework of these 3 scenarios is like here, like you can see here, the Tried and Trusted scenario. We always look into 4 different fields, like how does the real estate sector of the future look like, hotels, convention centers, infrastructure and so on. Then we look at the social characteristics of societies, how people may live in this specific scenario. We want to have a better understanding how the office working world looks like, because if you know how people work, we know how people like to attend events. And then we have the political framework, of course, which looks into all the mega trends and the outputs and outcomes in this area. And in this tried and trusted scenario, people live in more mega cities, in car-friendly cities. They live in more in classical. They have a classical distribution of roads within families, for example, and they like to work in stable organizational structures with clear hierarchies. And the political framework is more focusing on national development. And the second scenario, which is the diverse and flexible scenario, that's of course more digital scenario, where people understand themselves as global citizens, and we live in societies, in urban centers, for example. People follow the idea of remote work, of mobile work, and we can see that the 30 hours a week will arrive on the horizon, and the political framework is more that nations understand themselves as part of a global network. And last but not least, the green and aware focuses, of course, on sustainability. Every process, every decision is following sustainable principles in all areas, be it in the real estate sector, be it in the communities, and also in the office and working world. And each of these scenarios, we take that together with our researchers and break it down to what does that mean for health, what does it mean for the skills of workers, what does it mean for the technology we can use in the future, and what does it mean for the formats, and how the formats, event formats, may change in the future. And as we don't have time enough to look at all these 3 different scenarios, I ask you to choose one scenario, which we then take a deeper look within the next 2 minutes. Then hopefully I'm in time. Green and aware, followed by diverse and flexible. No one likes tried and trusted. I mean, it's not so bad, tried and trusted. But it's the audience who decides this. I don't get me. Okay, so it's diverse and flexible. I would say no, not really. Yes, yeah. Okay, let's say it's diverse and flexible, isn't it? It's diverse and flexible. So let's have a look to diverse and flexible. So diverse and flexible, what does it mean for locations, for hotels, for destinations? What are the key requirements which they need to fulfill in the future? Those will be the winners who offer unique, authentic locations with direct reference to the surrounding environment of the city, of the district, for example. Attractiveness of the city centers is more and more important because people work a lot from home. Whenever they go to a certain place, they need traffic, they need authenticity, and they really like to feel the atmosphere of where they go to. The winners will probably be smaller event locations integrated in the urban context. We will see a lot of pop-up locations. We will see multiple use locations with several functional elements. We will see multi-site events taking place at the same time in different destinations. They are interconnected with each other. And we see, of course, efficient and sustainable space utilization and communication. And meeting places, because that's why people leave their homes, because they want to communicate. They don't want to listen to keynotes, they want to communicate, to interact, and to participate in business events. What does it mean for event formats? Encounter communication and socializing, especially socializing, is the most important reason for participation. This is what we just researched in the current research phase. 91% of people say they go to business events because of the networking, not because of the content and because of the speakers. Events convey emotionally and strengthen networks. So whenever you meet virtually, you need an emotional touch point where communities can build trust, and this is the event, and this will always remain the event. Interaction, playful and joyful elements need to be part of that kind of events in the future, and space for spontaneous and unplanned moments. So you come together, you take this serendipity thing and bring people and ideas together. Also here, pop-up and multi-site events will play a key role. When it comes to technologies, of course, virtual events are on the rise. Streaming studios and smart interfaces are needed. VR, AR technologies in the so-called metaverse will play a much bigger role, and digital infrastructures like 5G or 6G, people are talking now. And of course, socializing apps again, because if you are always working from home, and how to get in contact with people, and these socializing apps can help you, can support to get to know people which you have not met before. And last but not least, what kind of competence profiles and skills are needed in this world? An increasing demand for digital skills, especially in the business events industry, interface managers and AI experts, broad cultural understanding, because when you bring people from all around the world together, you need broad also intercultural understanding. Tolerance and empathy is needed more than ever, and flexibility in self-organization. Why self-organization? Because again, when you work from home, there's no one looking for you and telling you what to do. You need to have the skill to organize yourself. And of course, networking skills. That's what you just showed in the last coffee break, and you are more than experts in networking. Yes, and last but not least, all this leads us to new opportunity spaces and future potentials. This can be read in our management summary research for all these three different scenarios and all these different specifications. We also identified potential future concepts, services, products which can help us to meet exactly the expectations and requirements in that three different scenarios. So I'd like to close my presentation with a quote again. This is by Charles Darwin, who said already 150 years ago that it is not the strongest of the species that will survive, nor the most intelligent. It's the one most responsive to change, and that's what Neil already said. Scotland is ready for change. This is why you are such a strong country and destination. So thank you for having me, and I'm very much looking forward to the questions that you have.
So thank you very much, Matthias, for most interesting presentation. Do we have any questions at the moment? Of course. Me, there's a question, okay. Me too.
Thank you, it's an excellent presentation. The slide on your research partners, I noticed so many from private sector, big corporations. So it's a rhetorical question. But do you find this important in terms of getting credibility for business events within government circles in Germany, having non-tourism players?
Yeah, that indeed that helps a lot. That we have now such an ecosystem that's part of our new strategy, which we started a few years ago. It heads the same direction you do, and like Eric does, and many others. So we call it Discover German Expertise. So we discover the areas and the fields in economy and science which Germany is very good in. And all these large corporations, like Siemens, for example, they are somehow approved, which helps us to underline the importance of that sector on the one hand. On the other hand, it really helps us to explain how important the communication tool of business event is in the communication tools for large organizations. So they all use it, but they never talk about it because they're using a telephone. It's like, hey, we use it, of course. And we like to show and underline how important that tool is and what it can achieve, but how it will change at the same time.
Thank you. I have a personal question, because you with a lot of experience, I was wondering which part of the survey you made was the most surprising for you, something that you really didn't anticipate. Was there anything like that?
I haven't presented it right now, but there are two findings which I found very interesting, which really surprised me. One was that attending business events can help to increase the attractiveness of corporations for employees. So whenever you are allowed to attend a business event, that makes the company you're working more attractive for you. This is what people are looking for at the moment, how to connect with people, how to keep them within the company. So business events really can help to get connected with your own staff and with your own team. And another thing which I think was very interesting is that business events help to get inspired, and this is the fourth most important inspiration source for people in professional lives. There are only three inspiration sources which are more important than attending business events, and so I think that business events prove really what they can do for getting people inspired and driving innovation.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We have one more question over there.
Good afternoon. I'm Katarina Hvatala from Prague University of Economics and Business. I'm just wondering, when I'm teaching on the destination management and marketing, the experience here, the local experience, is very much Prague-centric. Even though we have a lot of new things coming from the regions like Ostrava, Zen, and not to forget others. But I guess the situation is different in Germany because there are many cities that are considered as top MICE destinations: Hamburg, Cologne, Frankfurt, Berlin, and others. So I would just be interested to know if their approach is rather competitive or cooperative when it comes to bringing MICE business to Germany from your point of view as German Convention Bureau. Thank you very much.
Met before, but this is my favorite question. Yes.
I'm following you on LinkedIn, but I didn't know that.
We should make it. I think when it comes to the large cities, of course, large destinations like Cologne, Frankfurt, and so on, they are positioned quite well. But second tier, I think, is the secret. And second tier doesn't mean second best. Second tier means that you are very smart and very specific in a certain area of expertise in science or economy, for example. We have many cities in Germany which are all these small and medium-sized cities, which probably most of you don't know, but they are sometimes in 1 or 2 or 3 streets. They are really very well organized, structured, and they, like Jena, for example, it's quite a small city in Thüringen, and they are leaders when it comes to optical science, for example. And this is a place where everyone in the world who deals with that topic needs to be at least once live, because this is the place where it happens. And if we manage to put this at the forefront of our communication, instead of the number of hotels or the number of square meters which we are able to sell or to promote, then this really will be quite successful. This is my personal opinion. I'm really convinced about it, and that can really help to drive innovation and to grow and destinations and cities.
Any other question? Yes.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I have a small question. You mentioned the importance of authenticity with the world, with people actually being interested in going out to see this place authentically. Now the question is, from the perspective of previous presentation, does Germany try to keep their signature, things that we think straight away when we think of Germany, and keep the promoting Germany with those signature signs like the Netherlands, they don't want to be associated with Suez, but does Germany think that this authenticity of the country is important in future as well?
I mean, when it comes to authenticity, difficult word, then we always need to look from two perspectives. One is the association or the corporation who organizes the meeting. They want to have a place where they create the most beneficial outcome for their delegates. Meaning, when I meet in Freiburg, for example, I know they are very good in renewable energies. I can visit your university. I can meet with corporations which produces renewable energy, and so on and so on. And the second thing is the attendee or the delegate itself. And they are not only looking for that authentic professional setup, but especially also what they like. And then we look very much into detail, and we look, for example, into source markets like the US. They have other needs and expectations when it comes to authenticity than, for example, people from Czech Republic. And this is what we try to do during deep dives in our source markets to get a better understanding what the different target groups are expecting when it comes to authenticity. And sometimes it does not really match to the city which we can offer. Then we need to offer another one where we have this match between the requirements and the needs when it comes to authenticity.
Any other question? We are really running out of time. I have one more question. If you personally were invited to two events in the same time, what would be the decision for you to participate in any of them? I'm just curious. As you said, we were talking about different things that lead people to attend the conferences, whether it's networking or being in our case.
Can I answer tomorrow? If I was invited to two events and I had to decide which one to go, I would always go to the event where Teresa is also attending.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we have got the last presentation to go, and we will have a lady event that I'm looking forward to very much. And we got Liz Brand, the Senior Sales Manager of IMEX Group. Ms. John Alex from the Writing Center, she looked after the conference division. Before that, she was at Visit Brighton as a destination and conference manager for the city of Brighton, and most importantly, exhibited at IMEX every year with Visit England. And beyond IMEX, this organization's skills are put to excellent use as she tackles looking after her twins, playing and watching sports, traveling, cooking, serving as a school governor, and volunteering for Brighton Cooking Park, providing hot meals to those in need. So I'm really happy she found some spare time to come to see us here in Prague. This was source. Thank you.
That made me sound a little bit like a saint, which I assure you I'm not. Thank you for having me today. It's lovely to be here. I've never been to Prague before. Today I've only seen the inside of the hotel. I got here very late last night, so I'm looking forward to the next couple of days and seeing what a wonderful city this is. Everybody tells me that I'm in for a real treat, so thanks for having me. So I'm here to talk about IMEX. Can I have a show of hands who's attended IMEX? excellent. So maybe 50%. I'm sure that you know what IMEX is. I'm sure that you know what we do. So I won't go too much into that, but it's been really interesting today to listen to the presentations because we're all talking about the same things. We're talking about transcending borders with business. We're talking about networking. We're talking about making connections. We're talking about our colleagues in the industry. And I think it's really interesting for me because, as Teresa said, I previously worked as part of Visit Brighton. So that's the convention bureau in IMEX's home city. And also looked after the conferencing division for 10 years at the Brighton Centre, which is a convention centre. So for me, it's great now being on this side working with IMEX because I know exactly kind of where you come from, what your pressures are, what the amazing things about the industry are, but also sort of how you want to always be striving for the next thing, for change and for keeping up, but also being at the forefront of the industry and moving it forward. So I'm going to just show you a quick video. As you all know, we came out of a funny 3 years, 2 years. Are we still in it? I don't know. It's different, but it's moved along so much. And the first show back after the pandemic was IMEX in 2021, and we managed Frankfurt 2022 after 3 years. So I just want to remind you, and also those who haven't been to IMEX, exactly what it looks like in terms of what it means to people.
What IMEX means to me now is fun, collaboration, peers and friends and colleagues coming together, and a resurgence of the global event industry.
IMEX means to me reconnected.
IMEX means to me now a great way to actually finally be in person with friends and colleagues from all over the world. We're so excited to be here this year.
What does IMEX mean to me now? We're testimony to the fact that this is an Oceanic industry.
IMEX means to me now is realizing that all that matters is authenticity and love.
What IMEX means to me is reconnecting with my people.
What IMEX means to me now is seeing everyone talk about it.
Our industry should offer dividends. What IMEX means to me now is when can we get stronger together.
It means opportunity and giving a second chance to a whole world to connect. IMEX means to me now that we are all back, we're back together, and we're going to get the industry stronger than ever.
What IMEX means to me is now business, friends, and extraordinary relationships. Congratulations, IMEX. We are so happy to be here.
So that really sums up kind of our events, and it sums up what we do and what we like to create and what we want to do with the moving the industry forward, moving our partners and our friends and our colleagues across the world forward. And when Teresa talked to me about this being an innovation day, it was interesting to think about being inspiring and what we do in terms of innovating. And I thought it would be really interesting to talk you through a little bit about how that works for IMEX, not only as an event, but also as a team. So we operate very much as the guiding principle is a family table. So as we all know, we all sit around in our families. We have great times, we have great dinners, we have great tables, we have great times. Everybody has a chair, everybody has a voice. Sometimes it gets a bit cross, sometimes there's arguments, sometimes there's celebrations, but it can be all of humanity in there. And it's a very inclusive place to be. And we want to create that for our team. As you can see, we're all grinning here on the steps of Frankfurt. But what matters to us is to create an inclusive environment for our team. And we treat that almost as a 12 months of the year event. We include diversity, equity, inclusion, sustainability. If we can get it right as a team, then we can look forward to pushing this into our events. So we start off with the ability, each of us as employees of IMEX, as people who work as part of the team, as having the opportunity to be part of squads. So something that takes our interest, we have a tech squad, we have a diversity, equity, inclusion squad, we have a green squad, we have all sorts of kind of very niche squads, but it's something that really takes people's interest. And the diversity, equity, inclusion, of course, is a massive part of the industry at the moment and is something that we want to be pioneering moving forward. And given that IMEX is such a big event, it's really important that we get it right. So in 2018, the DEI squad was brought together. And the goals are very, very straightforward. We want to create that diverse, inclusive culture at IMEX, but what we mean by that is part of the team, back in the office, what we do as a company, and then go on to run those inclusive events. We want to bring in as much we can to promote and celebrate that diversity. We use our education program to educate about diversity and everything that goes with it. And then we want to make sure, again, through our marketing and through everything that we're doing, social media, we are using that as we are going forward. So we're kind of practicing what we're preaching. We have a huge focus on this in the office. The recruitment process that we have is anonymised. So if I'm a hiring manager, our HR department will go out and we'll get the CVs, but we'll take off dates, we'll take off genders, we'll take off anything that might identify that that person is of whatever ethnic background, sexual orientation, whatever. We don't know that. All we can see is about their experience. And that's a really, really refreshing way of being able just to identify the best candidate. We have the squad works towards being a disability confident employer, and we're working towards the accreditation on there. We also have these dedicated resources. So we have First Fridays where we have lectures, we have conversations, we have people come into the office to talk to us about stuff. We draw up a bunch of pizza from the local shop and we all sit and listen, because we believe that if we are able to become part of what we're preaching, then we're much more likely to be 100% behind what we're doing. And this, as I said, goes forward into the shows. Pronoun badges at our shows, which are really important. Social media presence has to be accessible, has to be inclusive, and that has to be across all platforms. And back in the office, one thing I failed to mention is that we just do have a very much positive aspect to our staff retention. We very rarely have people leave us. And this is down to a lot of the things that as a company we do. We have mental health support if should we need it. We have mental health first aiders who are trained to chat to people if that's what they need. We have things like, we have an engagement team who engage with us on a level where they just make us feel great about being part of the team. For example, on February the 14th, Valentine's Day, we ran a little thing where our team drew a name out of the hat and gave everybody in the team a name of their colleague. It was all anonymous. We then had to write a little note to them. Our team then put the little note onto a love heart, sent it through the post to our home addresses. Because it was part of COVID, we were all not quite so much in the office. And then on February the 14th, we all got up and we all had something come through from a colleague who we didn't know, saying something really lovely about us. Incredible, but that was such a lovely touch from an employer to do. This year, Valentine's Day, our team bought a load of heart-shaped food in. So we went into the kitchen, we all helped ourselves to lovely heart-shaped stuff because they wanted to show that appreciation. So for us, that kind of inclusion starts, and that appreciation of everybody starts very much in the office. And being out here with you today, and going out to PCMA, going out to Destinations International, ICA, becoming part of the industry is really important for us, and especially through the diversity, equity and inclusion strand that we are running. We very much hope that we can help to carry this forward across the industry, not only in our own shows. And as you can see, there's a number of our colleagues who have been celebrated in the industry as being champions of DEI. So one of the things that the DI squad worked on from 2018 was the diversity and inclusion statement. So this is something that we've put out at the show, which is visible, and we ask everybody who comes along, be they exhibitors, buyers, visitor buyers, or the press, anybody that comes along to the show, just to abide by this code of conduct. Because it needs to be said that this is what we stand for, and it needs to be said that this is how we want to carry our event forwards, and we hope others will follow. So, as you can imagine, it's very straightforward if you're of equitable mind. No verbal abuse, depending on what your gender may be, your identity, your expression, your sexual orientation, and we won't tolerate anything that is discriminatory, there we go, I got it out, against those characteristics, intimidation, disruption, anything like that. So this has been visible at our IMEX events, and this is something that we have up in our office. So again, it's following that through. And we also developed an inclusive language guide, which we looked at how things change, because it is very much a case of things change all the time. We're not claiming to be absolutely right. We're not claiming to get it perfectly, but what we are doing is we're constantly working towards improving that and improving it for people who may feel marginalised by the use of language. So the Inclusive Language Guide is available on our website. Anybody can look at it, download it, but it's a really useful tool just to remind ourselves of what's the best thing to do and best thing to say. Also, one of the squads that we run is sustainability, is our green squad. And we're very lucky to have a guy who his passion is sustainability. He's worked in the industry for a long time, and he works in our operations team. But he heads up our green squad. And we are measured each year by Meet Green. So each of our events, we are measured on what we do. So it's things like looking at the way we do stuff, but also it's to help you who come to IMEX, to help you and your stand builders, to look at how we could be improving that for you and making it easy for you. And I know as an exhibitor in IMEX Frankfurt many years ago, for a number of years, you're so busy, everything's so frantic, and then somebody comes along and says, have you remembered to be sustainable? Have you remembered this? And you're kind of going, oh, I've got to remember that as well. So what we want to do is to help you build that in and make it part of the norm. So we want to talk to our stand builders and say, have you thought about not using this material, but using that? And luckily, the people that we work with in Frankfurt and in Las Vegas are of the same mind. And it's really important to us that we're collaborating with partners who think along the same lines. Presentations previously, I nearly used that Sustainable Development Goals slide as well. So that could have been the third time you had it, but luckily I didn't pop that one in there. But it's so important for us because we want to educate, we want to inspire, and we want to talk about best practice. So if we don't have recycle bins out, you're not going to recycle your stuff. So that's down to us. But what we want to do for you is look to what you're doing on your stand, what you're doing on your booth. What are you bringing along? 10 years ago, everything was paper, everything was bits of plastic, everything was very much throwaway or would be left to be recycled or thrown away. In my previous life in convention centres, I remember we ran, this was a long time ago, but an event which was a technology, a sustainability, it's called eco-tech. It was very much geared towards sustainability, and they left 60 boxes of paper behind. And when we said, you can't just leave this stuff, they said, oh, just chuck it away. So it was very much a case of not practicing what they preached. The whole event was about sustainability. So what we are trying to do is very much educate and help with the process and make it easy for you. We measure our events with Meet Green, who are very much part of what we do. And it's great because when you have those measurements each year, you can benchmark. And I'll come on to kind of what our sustainability outcomes were from 2022 in a minute. But this is a really important part for us as well, is giving back to our destination communities. I was thrilled in Las Vegas when we were there last year that we had a new initiative where we donated, and a lot of our exhibitors donated furniture and stuff that was on their stands to some local residential homes for older people. And we got the most incredible letters back and emails back saying how this had made such a huge difference to people's lives. In Frankfurt, similarly, we do it. If you were in Frankfurt this year, you would have seen we had some amazing plants down the sides of the Galleria. They were donated to local charities and they brightened up social housing, they brightened up people's rooms. And we're very much of a social mind that what we want to try to do is if you can't recycle, we give back, we reuse, we become that circular economy. And that's super important for us. But also we have initiatives within those desks, a little playhouse, a clubhouse. And I'm not sure if anybody saw this on the show floor if you were there, but people came along with hammers, nails, put it together, painted it, made it look just incredible. And then Luna had this playhouse and she got so much delight and fun out of it. It was the most rewarding thing. So the giving back to our destination communities for us is important, but it's as important for the communities that we show that we're part of that rather than just taking something from there. So this is the one I'm not going to read out because there's a lot of words on there. But just to say from 2022, from our Frankfurt event, this hasn't even come out yet, so I had to eke this from our communications team. The full report will be out at the end of the month, early February. But this is just an example of kind of how and what we are doing at the shows. And we've been given the Event Sustainability Visionary Award from Meet Green, which is to tell us that we're actually doing okay. We're doing a good job. We don't believe we're there because I think, as we've talked about previously, change is always something that is moving forward, and we'd rather be there driving that change than following or not quite being up there. We want to be pioneering in sustainability and in DEI across the events industry. So what's next for us? So sustainability is a very, very big part of what we're looking at doing. Net zero strategy is something that we are working on. Now, this is going to be something that is in part driven by the industry, driven by the Sustainable Development Goals, but it's something that we're super, super keen to get going. So by the end of this year, we will have that net zero. We will have that path to net zero strategy for 2030. We're working on a sustainable exhibiting pledge at the moment. So that's looking at, as I said before, reusing materials for your stands. It's looking at food waste. It's looking at stuff that Tamara mentioned from an ICA perspective. When you're running an event for this many people, how do you cater this? How do you make sure that there's not the food waste? Are we just going to be putting it out so it looks pretty? Are we going to be using beef? Are we going to be creating emissions through that? Or are we really going to be brave? And are we going to look at doing something a little bit different? And I think from an IMEX perspective, we're really keen to be brave. So the Sustainable Exhibiting Pledge is something you can take as exhibitors, and it will drive that. The more people that do it, the more green badges we get, the more accessible it is, the more easy it is, the more our stand builders work with you to make it the norm. Then we don't even realise we're being tremendously sustainable because it's just the norm. So that's going to be part of the Sustainable Exhibiting Pledge, which will be coming out again very soon. We are also going for B Corp certification, which I thought sounded a bit like something to do with the army, but is an award which a lot of big corporations are certified by. We are small in comparison. But the B Corp certification is something we're working on, and we'll be looking at putting that into place over this next year. We're hosting the EIC Sustainability Awards. That's text has gone a bit jumpy on there, so apologies for that, at our Frankfurt show. So we will be having part of the awards, is part of our Paul Flackett Awards that we have in Frankfurt, will be a sustainability award. So if you, I'm looking at you, Teresa, if you would like to nominate yourselves or anybody wants to look at that, the date for that is the 6th of February, and it can all be accessed via the website. Again, that's really important for us to bring sustainability into what we're doing and rewarding people going forwards and seeing how, as IMEX, we can be helping to create those really positive feelings around the sustainability side of it. One of the most exciting things we have is we're having a brand refresh. So at Frankfurt this year, you will see some new and wonderful things, not quite as drastic and as big as the Netherlands, but we're going to be having some new logos, some new colours, something vibrant. So that's going to be launched at IMEX in Frankfurt. And then, most excitingly for everybody apart from the team, as in my team, is we're bringing in some new systems, which is going to be marvellous for all of you as exhibitors. But it's a big old job. We're implementing it now and we'll be able to come out. So if you're coming out to Frankfurt, we'll be doing lots of webinars and lots of things to educate you and show you how to use the new system. It's going to be amazing and it's going to improve things as well. Education-wise, we've got new education tracks, which very much take in DEI and sustainability. And we are also looking at a corporate social responsibility and inclusion strategy. So there's lots to do going forward into 2023. And I really hope we will see a lot of you out in Frankfurt in May, which is only just around the corner. So let me just show you this film.
Thank you to everyone for joining us here at IMEX Frankfurt 2022. It's been 3 years in the making of the IMEX team to feel back together again. There's all these people here smiling, happy, building relationships together. It really has been a true.
It's always been about a IMEX buzz, hasn't it? And to hear it again when you walk in, it's so amazing to see after so long. But everybody was really wanting to get back together, and that enthusiasm and that passion for the industry is just really coming out during the show. It's fantastic.
IMEX is a place to be. Those relationships that you need to build, it's done right here with all of these people in this room. It's been so great to see the international market back here again. From the stands across the floor, from our friends from the APAC region, from Eastern Europe, from North America, South America, from Latin America. It's been so great to see everyone here back together again. And the great, vibrant fans and the personalities that are here, the experience just here. I just want to thank every team for believing in us. The IMEX team has been here for you, and now you are here for us.
It's so incredible to see so many international destinations back with us, so many of our friends and family investing so heavily in the show and making it such a great success. As a relaunch for IMEX and a relaunch for the industry, and obviously what we really want now more than ever is to build on that and have more people back with us next year and build an even bigger, better IMEX 2023.
So there we have 3 months, 3 weeks, 5 days, and I think about 19 hours until Frankfurt. So we look forward to seeing as many of you there as we can. Any of our resources that I talked about with regards to sustainability, equity, diversity and inclusion are on the website. They're also, as Matthias was saying, available for everybody to learn from and for everybody to take some inspiration from. So if I can help with any questions or anything else, then more than happy.
Thank you very much.
Thank
It
you.
was very inspiring. Yes, we can all see that the change started with ourselves. Yeah, there are small things that really matter. And I really like the part you explained all the activities that you do in your office, and it's something really makes a difference. Do you have any questions here for this? I've got actually 2 questions, so I will start and let's see if somebody joins me. The first one goes to IMEX itself, because we've got here many partners from regions, and they are usually asking me, should we participate in the show, shouldn't we participate, isn't it only for the big players? And I thought maybe if you could compare it to other destinations, there is also other regions participating, maybe showing some things why they should participate.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to say, of course, you should participate. I'll take it back, though, to sort of my experience. My city of Brighton in England is a small city. We've only just got city status. We are on the south coast of England. We're about an hour from London, and we are on the coast. So we have a fabulous beach, and pebbles, no actual sand. But we're not a massive player in the UK. The conference centre holds up to 4,500 people. So congresses up to 4,500 are welcome, but the city itself can't really take much more than sort of 2 or 3. I'm a big believer in if you're not at the party, you can't contribute, you can't get involved. And I'm a big believer in if you're not there, you can't take up the opportunities. So every year, IMEX Frankfurt was written into my budget first because I wanted to make sure I was there, because I didn't want to miss out on the opportunities that might happen should I not be there. And I think I came to IMEX in Frankfurt 7 or 8 times when I was in destination. And every year we found something that was unexpected, something that we weren't expecting, appointments that we thought would go nowhere that went to something amazing. And we have the EMEC conference coming to us in February, which is part of the meetings industry and the MPI conference. That was brokered when I was in destination at IMEX in 2017 or 2018. Obviously, COVID scuppered the whole thing, but it was a connection between colleagues at IMEX, me at the centre, and colleagues at the Hilton who just happened to be at IMEX. And we all had the conversations and went off to talk about it, and then it became a thing. And that was not an appointment, that was not something that was pre-scheduled. It was something that just kind of happened organically. So I would really say that it's being part of something big. It's not feeling like a small player. It's being part of something big and getting involved. And you really do get out of IMEX what you put into it.
Thank you very much. Is any other question? I would have one more question regarding the sustainability, because personally I've attended, of course, IMEX many times, and I like all the activities that you do there. I think the range of them is great. And I was also wondering about the other exhibitors, maybe if you have some statistics, or if you can really see growing interest of partners, for example, Simon the Pledge, or the other things.
Yeah, I think COVID didn't help anybody in any way, shape or form with anything, which is fairly obvious. But I think what it did do is it did set sustainability back a little bit, because if you think about it, we all started to use one-use plastics, single-use plastics again, because we were concerned about contamination. Everything was wrapped in plastic or put in little tiny packets, and it increased single-serving things like ketchup and mayonnaise, you know. It all became about that rather than a bottle or a pot, because we didn't want to cross-contaminate. So what we found is that people are coming back to that picture now. Over the last year or so, it has been more difficult, but actually the sustainability pledge that was signed by a number of our exhibitors last year is increasing. And also, as our focus is increasing, we're then going to be at the forefront championing this a little bit more than we have coming out of COVID, because it's been impossible to kind of get away with that. But it's certainly something, and as I said, the sustainability pledge will be improved, increased and launched very shortly.
So this is great news.
Yeah.
It's great information to hear. At the end of the presentation, if there are no other questions, probably. So thank you very much.
Thank you
For your presentation. And that's it from our side. Thank you. Thanks to all the partners for joining us today. Yes, a big round of applause for our speakers. Yes, for traveling far. And sharing ideas for everything. And I'm really happy we made this today. Of course, thank you to my colleagues for your great job as well. That's it. So let's just enjoy some few minutes to network. Yes, after the end of the presentation, of course, as my colleagues told me, they'd be happy to answer any of the questions you might have now or later on. Please don't be ashamed. You can, of course, get back to them. You can write them. They will be happy to answer any of your questions. I'll be sharing, of course, the presentation probably tomorrow. Yes, so you will all have it. And if there's anything which we could help, we'll be very happy to do it. So thank you once again. Have a great rest of the day, and see you all very soon. Thank you for coming.